It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Utah Valley's assistant softball coach, Coach Renee Copenhaver. How are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college softball?
Yeah, so I took a different route than most. I didn't start coaching in college right out of college. I got married and started having kids, and I went the travel ball lesson route for a couple of years in North Carolina, and then a big life change for me happened. Lost my husband in Iraq in 2019. And after that, I said, I could continue down the nursing route with my two kids, or I could do something that I really love to do, and that's coaching softball. So that's when I decided I would reach out and try to get my foot in the door for college softball. And SUU was the first opportunity for that.
Of course, what was that collegiate experience like playing college softball?
For me, I loved my experience. I went to a junior college first and got to play my first 2 years, got to learn a lot about myself as a player and as a student athlete. I wasn't quite ready for the big school with academics, so I was so happy that I went to a 2 year first to really get a hang on that. And then when I transferred, I was older, a lot more mature, able to handle the grind of a 4 year. And then also getting to play those last 2 years was really what my ultimate goal was.
Of course, for you, what was that experience like transferring from a 2 year to a 4 year and getting to represent two colleges?
It comes with your challenges, of course. Anytime you're a transfer, you have that little transfer period, I would say. Like you show up to a new team, these girls have been with each other since their freshman year, and then you're all of a sudden coming in and trying to take a spot. But really after that like little honeymoon phase, it was a great experience. I loved all my teammates. We bonded really well. I got to travel and see a whole different side of the country, and I wouldn't change it.
What were
So
some of your biggest accomplishments as a player playing softball?
Um, for me, my freshman year at North Idaho, I was first team all region as a catcher. Then the second year, I also was nominated, I believe, for like second team. And then, going to Augusta University, I was able to, after like the first 5 games, because I was recovering from surgery, I was catching every single game. My senior year, I started every single game and was behind the plate for my pitchers. And that was really my biggest goal, was the opportunity to be on the field with my teammates.
What was that experience like for you getting to coach as a travel ball coach and a high school coach?
It really taught me that I wanted to be in college coaching. I love, developing young players and helping them get to the next level. In North Carolina, that was my main goal, was just finding kids that were going to be ready for the college level, and helping them get there. So I really focused on the recruiting process for those kids, and finding out what works, what helps get kids seen. And I love that experience, and now I know how to talk to student athletes as a college coach and be like, hey, this is what you need to be doing, not not the other things you guys think you should be doing to get recruited. So
What was that experience like for you first starting off as a volunteer assistant before making that jump to become a head coach?
It was great. I played for Don Don not at SUU, but obviously at North Idaho when she was there. And so it was a great experience to be able to work with her again. Learned a lot from her on, especially, her being a young, as first year, second year head coach at a Division I school. And it was great for me and my family at that time because obviously a single mom with 2 kids. So she didn't make me go into the office every day and I could go to practice and just be a coach. But I also learned a lot by going into the office and, seeing what it's like to be a head coach at that level. So I learned a lot. So it was a great stepping stone for me, for sure.
What was that feeling like for you when you did get that opportunity to become a head coach in your coaching career?
It's a lot different than being a volunteer. I basically just hit the ground running. At the junior college level, you don't get a lot of assistance. It's more like, here you go, here's your team, figure it out. And so I figured out a lot of things really quickly. I, learned how to fundraise really fast. I learned that, sometimes you just don't have equipment and you just got to wing it and figure it out. And my girls, thankfully, I inherited a team of 10 already, so I only had to recruit a few more to make a team. And they were awesome. They bought into everything I told them. They bought into the program I was trying to make. And really, I just had to be confident with it and just roll with it. We had some ups and downs, but we figured it out. So it was actually a really good experience. I think I have more experience in administration than I thought I would as a head coach at a junior college, just because you are in charge of it, from budget to apparel to scheduling to meetings, every meeting with athletics. So yeah, it was a lot, but it was good.
Of course, what were some of the things that you learned as a head coach on the junior college level to then help you when you got to Utah Valley?
I think it was more of just the humbling experience, that knowing that what I was doing and what I was teaching was working. And it was beneficial to my athletes, and that I could take that with me to a higher level. Talking with more, I really networked myself when I was at the junior college level. I went to every single college camp I could possibly go to, talked to every single Division I head coach that I saw, and just picked their brain and told them what I knew and how I was teaching. And I really just got that reassurance that I know what I'm doing a little bit. And that I could take that to the next level. And so that's really where the opportunity at UVU came from, was being able to network myself with those higher level coaches.
Of course, coming to Utah Valley, what has that experience been like, being the assistant softball coach for Utah Valley?
First off, I want to say that Coach Thompson is an amazing head coach. He understands what it's like to be an assistant coach, and he is willing to teach and learn, help wherever we need help as an assistant. So, and he's understanding. He understands work-life balance and family, and he really is striving to help our culture as a coaching staff be the best it can be. So that right there helps me tremendously as a volunteer, as a assistant coach now. I do still learning my ways, still figuring out UVU and all the tricks and things that, come with new admin, but our admin are great and they're really helpful. So the transition has been really easy for me.
What was that feeling like the first time you got to step onto the softball field at Utah Valley?
It was great. I love the experience. We, got to go to Mary Nutter this last year. So that's something like every softball girl's dream, was to go to the Mary Nutter and play there. And now being a coach and getting to see my athletes do that, it was awesome. Just the experience of traveling and figuring out how we're going to do a lineup, and, who's going to play, who's going to, actually produce when we put them out there, is just all what I love about the sport and being able to coach it.
What was that experience like for you as a coach, going to that Mary Nutter and getting to coach at Mary Nutter?
It was really cool. We got to place against some, big Power Fives, and we had some close games, some late nights. It's just it's the culture around it that, hey, it's time to show off and show your kids and say, hey, Utah Valley is one of those schools that are going to be around and they should be noticed. So it was a really cool experience.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped to build for the softball program?
Yeah, I think all of our coaching staff is very like upfront and honest with our athletes, and we give them expectations and they know our expectations. And I love that about our culture. I think our girls get along great. Something that we strive for is that our team really bonds well together. They have come from different backgrounds and cultures, but they all get along when it comes to traveling together and being together all the time. So I think we really help do that, because we don't put up with drama, and we don't put up with the crazy talking behind people's back and things like that. We just don't do that as a coaching staff, and that really translates to the girls, and they understand that we're not going to put up with it. So it's been good, and I think all our team is on the right track in their culture, and starting to build that winning program and winning mindset next is really what we're striving to do.
Who are some of the teams that you face each week in your conference?
So the WAC is made up of Seattle U, us, Utah Tech, Grand Canyon, and then we have CBU. So, and then we have 2 Texas teams now, Abilene Christian and Tarleton. Yes, it changes every year. The Texas teams keep moving on us and changing conferences, but our main competition right now is probably GCU, and Seattle U is always sneaky. So, and Utah Tech did really well last season. They actually won our conference, so we're always trying to beat those guys out. And the fun thing about the WAC is it's really just a dogfight all the way till the end. We were tied for 4th in our conference all the way up until the last week. And then that's when we dropped down below that little mark. We're like 1 win away from being 3rd or 4th in that conference, just because of how competitive it is. I mean, anybody can win at any time. So it's definitely a fun conference to be in.
Of course, what is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Wagner or Seattle U comes to your facility?
Yes.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Seattle U comes to your facility versus going to Texas and playing those teams in Texas?
Our home field advantage is amazing. We've had a lot more fan turnout this year. We've been working on teams of the day coming and supporting us. We just got brand new lights at UVU, so we're starting to have more night games. So it's a really fun experience for our athletes and our fans to come watch us at home. And then of course, when we have to travel down to Texas, we got just a few parents that show up and us just trying to be as loud as we can. So there's a big difference. There is a home field advantage at UVU, and we love it, but we got to learn how to do that when we're at somebody else's field as well. So we're starting to work on that for sure.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play collegiate softball?
We're really looking for some athletes. We want athletes to stand out for us. We will change your position probably 100 times if you're an athlete on our field, just trying to figure out where you fit. So somebody that's flexible in being able to play multiple positions, somebody who's athletic, and somebody that can hit. If they have good hand-eye coordination right away and they can hit the ball a solid and they're not swinging and missing a bunch, that's something that we're looking at, and we're saying, hey, we can work with that. We can teach you how to get short to the ball. We can teach you to read movement of pitches. but yeah, that's really what we're looking at when we're out recruiting. We obviously have our connections with some travel teams that we like to go see and watch because we know they develop kids. But we're not afraid to go and, look at kids that have emailed us 100 times and said, come watch me play. So if you're persistent, we will come watch you play just to see what you got.
As an assistant coach, what is that like going out on the road, looking at those future pitchers and catchers and seeing if they're Utah Valley fit?
For me as a catcher and the catching coach, I'm looking for an athlete behind the plate, somebody who's super loud and, energetic for their team. I also am looking for somebody that has a good arm. They have good, every time they throw down, if their pop to pop is like 1.7 or less, then I'm like, yep, I'm going to watch this kid. And then I'm going to watch her hit because unfortunately catchers have to hit in college. They just do. And, pitchers, we want to see that natural snap. We want to see them whip their arm and have good mechanics. That's hard to find sometimes. They're being taught a bunch of different mechanics lately, and we're just trying to go back to the basics of knowing how to whip your arm and use your legs and do all the things that you need to do to be successful as a pitcher. So,
of course, for those prospective student athletes, what does that official visit look like at Utah Valley?
Most of the time when we invite a student athlete for an official visit, they will get them in. We'll probably the day before, we'll probably take them to dinner that night with some of our student athletes. We'll get their hotel taken care of, and then the next morning we'll take them to breakfast and do a tour and then do a photo shoot. We like to put them in their jersey, a jersey, and get their pictures taken, and and then that's when we would give them their official offer from us. It's really, when we bring somebody on their official visit, we know that they're going to come to us. They've already said like, yep, we're verbally committed. I'm ready to go to UVU. So actually we have 3 of our committed 24s coming in and doing a photo shoot in the next couple of weeks. And that
will be back in about an hour or so. I'm taking my leave of the vet.
So,
of course, what does that process look like, seeing those freshmen getting to put on that uniform for the first time?
It's great. I'm really excited for this year to see all of our freshmen put on that jersey because we have 11 new freshmen coming in. So it'll be an exciting experience to see all these new faces on the field with those jerseys on. And I think they're all ready to represent us in a good light. So it's going to be exciting to see. I think it's more an experience for them. Love seeing it. Love seeing the girls represent us and look good out there.
What is that like as a coach, seeing those freshman blossoms all the way through their 4 years and become seniors and putting it on for the last time?
Like this last class would be like my first class that I would have all 4 years. So I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what our sophomores are going to do and then what they're going to be like when they're juniors. The biggest change, I think, is from your sophomore to junior year. They really start to develop leadership skills. They know how to communicate to their teammates and get people on the same page. They know the program at that point and know what we expect. And I love watching it. I love watching their leadership skills develop and us coaches being able to kind of take a step back there and not be so on them all the time. They can take care of it themselves.
Of course, what are some of your future plans for the Utah Valley softball program moving forward?
I mean, our plans as a coaching staff is just to keep making them better. We want to win the WAC. That's our goal. And this next year, we're getting into the tournament. That's a non-negotiable for us. We are going to the tournament. So in the next 2 years, you should see Utah Valley at the championship at the WAC tournament.
What advice would you give those first-year college students entering college softball for the first time?
My advice is listen to everybody and their advice and actually apply those tips. Everybody tells you to get organized. Everybody tells you to get a planner. Do it. Go get a planner. Be organized. have an accountability partner, have somebody help you navigate the school, listen to your teammates when they tell you don't do something, don't do it. Like I think that there's some naiveness sometimes with the freshmen, and they have to go through that learning curve. And the more that they're willing to listen and take in everything that's being thrown at them, the more success they will have. It's okay. Of course, we know they're going to mess up. They're going to do stuff. They're going to be late. It happens, but we want them to learn from it and grow as a player and a person. So, yeah, my biggest advice is to take the advice. Like when somebody tells you to do something, I would suggest you do it and at least try it.
What
So,
advice would you give those seniors looking to go play professionally, whether it's Athletes Unlimited, the MPF, or going to the Olympics?
it's really hard for a mid-major kid to get to that level, but there is opportunities. Our head coach just went and pitched to the USA Olympic team in Ireland and helped them get ready for the World Cup. So, we have the connections, we have ways of hearing about when tryouts are and when things are happening. The biggest thing is just do your best when you're in college, and we'll do what we can to promote them. There is opportunities in summer leagues and things like that now down in Florida that I would love to see our athletes do, to try to get their name out there after they're done. Professionally, it's tough. And then we, Coach Sam here at UVU, she has some really good friends that play professionally, so she knows the grind, and we'll have those athletes talk to our girls and let them know what it's really like to play post college. It's a completely different world. They're true professionals, that's for sure.
What advice would you give those college athletes looking to get into college coaching after their career as a player ends?
It's really about your networking. College coaching is making those connections, making sure you are willing to learn and willing to learn to communicate in different ways. Just because you did something a certain way in college doesn't mean that those athletes you're coaching are going to be the ones doing it your way. You might have to adapt your coaching to each college athlete you're working with. So being able to adapt and being able to really be a leader on your team in the college when you're playing really helps you post college and getting into the coaching world. We of course love to see our players continue to coach. We want to see more females in the coaching world, and continue their career that way. So we're willing to help out our athletes any way we can to get them started.
What advice would you give those college coaches, whether they're assistant or head coaches, looking to get started in coaching in college softball?
I would say, you're going to have to grind it out. You're going to have to network. You're going to have to talk to people. You're going to have to show what you were able to do. Almost every clinic that I worked or did was almost like a tryout for me and what I knew in coaching. I now go to clinics and camps with certain coaches that I've worked with, and they already know that, hey, Renee can do this, Renee can do that. Let her run this, and we've got, we'll have a great clinic. Really have to show yourself and promote yourself a lot in the beginning. And then once you kind of have that foot in the door and you've made those connections, things start happening. You'll get phone calls, you'll get text messages say, hey, I know a spot is about to open up. Would you be interested? That's kind of how the college coaching works. It's open to everybody, obviously, when they first put it out there, but it's really who you know and how you're going to make that connection with the admin or the coaching staff.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Utah Valley softball program at?
I'm sorry, I didn't
Where-
hear that.
Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Utah Valley softball program at?
Utah Valley Softball has a Instagram page, a Twitter page, and a Facebook page. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. My Instagram is mostly for my coaching and a little bit of my personal life, but I'm getting better at Twitter. I am starting to follow athletes there. Social media for us is a big thing. I know it's something that our athletes are looking at and our prospective athletes are looking at. So us as a coaching staff and UVU have been really trying to step up our social media game to show people what it's like to be a UVU athlete / coach. You know, if you get our kids go and look at our UVU softball page on Instagram, you'll see all the stuff that Coach T has been doing this summer with the USA team. You'll see our incoming athletes for this year being posted and highlighted. So yeah, we would love for people to follow along and see what we've got going on at UVU.
Thank you again, Coach Renee, for your interview, and best of luck in your future at UVU as the assistant softball coach.
Thank you so much.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Renee, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you. Bye.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.